This is my Casio 100 meter dive watch. I've shown this in a previous video where we did the hydro mod. That's put in oil. In this case I use silicone 20 CST, which is a low viscosity oil, into the watch, which drastically increases the water resistance rating. People have tested them online, YouTube videos and on watch forums, pressurizing these watches and the F91W down to several thousand meters, and they come out intact. So I mean, I do a little bit of wild swimming. My watch is rarely likely to ever go below 1 or 2 meters because I mostly surface swim, but it's a fun little thing to do, and it actually makes the watch a lot more visible. These watches are great. I'm a big fan of cheap Casios. This and my F91W I wear more than any other watch. NATO strapped is a lot more comfortable than most of the other watches that I own. You can just do modifications to them, hydro mod it, throw a NATO strap on it. Some people commented in the video where we filled it with oil saying, the battery's going to go flat, you're going to damage the quartz movement. We've had this watch hydro mod now for 6 months. The battery's fine, it keeps perfect time, and you know what, if the battery goes flat, just put another battery in it. It's not a big deal. If the quartz movement broke at some point, it's not a big deal. This is a £20 watch in the UK. It's not a Rolex, it's not an Omega. It doesn't matter. Have fun with it. Fill it up with oil. It's just an experiment. This has got a higher water resistance rating now than the most high-end dive watches, automatic dive watches that you'll buy, that set you back 10 grand. And this total investment in this watch now is probably about £30, including buying the watch, including buying the NATO and filling it with oil. To fit the NATO strap, I started by removing the old rubber strap. Now, definitely recommend getting a spring bar removal tool to do this. It makes the process a lot easier. These tools are only £2 or £3 on eBay, and they make the whole process a lot easier. Once the strap was off, I removed the 4 screws from the back of the watch. Now, my watch had previously been filled with oil, which I did 6 months ago. So I took it to the kitchen and poured the old oil out. I had a bit of an issue after the first time of filling it with oil. That's when I went to very cold water. The oil would almost fog up. I don't know if I had a water contamination issue. I also added a dye to the oil, which looked good at first. Maybe that was causing the fogging issue. Maybe there was some water or something in that orange dye. So when I refill the watch this time, I'm just going to use only oil, and hopefully that solves the issue. Filling the movement with oil can be quite awkward. Some people kind of disassemble the watch to a further degree. I found the easiest way to do it is just to use a syringe, and use a syringe to push the oil into the movement. This forces any small air bubbles out. Some people like a bubble inside the watch, so when the watch is reassembled, there's a tiny little bubble in it. I mean, it proves that the watch is oil filled, but personally I don't like a bubble. So by using the syringe, you can make sure all the oil's out, and then you have no bubbles inside your watch. Then it's just a case of refitting the watch screws. Make sure the rubber waterproofing seal is correctly seated. You don't want any oil spilling out or water getting in. After that, I just wash the watch down with warm soapy water to remove silicone oil that had got onto the outside. I then work out where I want the watch to sit on the strap, because once it's on the strap, it's actually quite difficult to move. So by putting the strap on my wrist and looking at how best it sits, I get an idea of where I want the watch to seat. My watch came with new spring bars. These spring bars seem to be thinner than the old ones, which no doubt make fitting the NATO strap easier. So I use new spring bars, but if you have a strap that doesn't come with new bars, you can probably use the real old ones, but I would recommend looking for straps that come with new bars. I mean, I paid £5 something on eBay for the strap, including new spring bars, so you can't really go wrong for that price. So there's the watch. I've I have dipped it in cold water now. The water here is very cold, it's about 1 degree, and I don't have the fogging issue anymore. So I'm guessing it must have been some kind of water contamination, I would guess. Probably in the dye that I put in the oil to make the oil orange. Maybe there was a small amount of water in that. Either way, I'm happy with the watch now. It did look quite kind of cool when it had the orange dye in it, but I mean, I use this watch mostly for outdoor swimming, so it was a bit pointless it fogging up. I mean, you could still read the time, but it didn't look good when it fogged up. When it warmed up, the fogging would go away. That's resolved now. Very happy with this watch. I mean, for £30 all in, I'm really happy with it.